Hi, my name is Gavin Koerth. The topic I'm discussing today is the Emergency Management Accreditation Program. The program provides structure to emergency management organizations, which streamlines their services to be efficient in conjunction with the number of emergency management institutions. EMAP does this by establishing a set of emergency management standards that are consistent nationwide, providing emergency management agencies with a way to measure performance, encourage continuous improvement in emergency management abilities, and helping coordination and collaboration between emergency management agencies at all levels of government. EMAP was recognized to be a necessity as a lack of standardization caused a great amount of confusion and sluggishness in response to emergency situations. In 1991, documents began to be legislated to be reviewed, assessed, and tested until the final product of EMAP was established in 2003. The program constitutes what agencies are qualified to operate, which are state and territorial emergency management agencies, local and tribal emergency management agencies, emergency management organizations within the private sector, higher education institutions with emergency management programs, and non-governmental organizations involved in emergency management. Each of these agencies are required to complete the accreditation process, which both establishes the agency as legitimate and assesses their services to be necessary for the program. EMAP provides a group of standards which are as follows: program management, law and authority, hazard identification and mitigation, resource management, planning, direction, control, and coordination, communications and warning, operations and procedures, logistics and facilities, training, exercises, evaluations, and corrective action, crisis communications, public education and information, and finance and administration. The first standard is program management. This ensures that the program remains effective and relevant in addressing the needs and challenges of emergency management. Next is law and authority, adding to the substantial responsibility of following the many legalities and regulations in emergency management. Next, agencies must have adequate hazard identification and mitigation, which is identifying potential hazards, assessing the risks, and developing plans to minimize the impacts of those hazards on individuals, communities, and infrastructure. Next is resource management. Because agencies must show quick and effective identification, acquisition, distribution, and tracking of personnel and equipment needed for emergency functions. Planning addresses the development and general content of the program's emergency management plan, strategic plan, mitigation plan, recovery plan, and continuity of operations plan. Direction, control, and coordination is needed to show the agency can analyze a situation, make decisions for response, direct and coordinate response forces and resources, and coordinate with other jurisdictions. Next is communications and warning. This requires the ability to communicate in a disaster and effectively warn the public. Operations and procedures. This requires standard operating procedures, checklists, and instructions to execute plans and address identified hazards. Logistics and facilities are required. Need to be facilities, a logical structure, and main backup emergency operations facilities and capabilities that can support response and recovery activities. Public employees and emergency management response personnel must follow a formal training schedule. This schedule must include a requirement that emergency workers get training in the area's incident management system. Exercises and evaluations are held to make ensure and assess the capability of emergency responders to react and think on their feet. There are many rules and regulations to follow in the field, which makes response times much slower. There are also times where an agency acts too quickly, which causes disruption among different branches or laws are broken. This is why it is important to hold exercises regularly. History has also shown that communication during, before, and after an emergency is detrimental to the outcome of an emergency response. Public education is also important in order to prepare the general public of how to react during an emergency before it occurs. Agencies must use their funds in compliance of governmental regulations and guidelines. These agencies must also provide all request receipts and documentation of distribution of funds. This helps emergency management because it questions national standards in order to improve them continuously, increases accountability among programs, common structure among nationwide organizations helps streamline action, and makes emergency management easy to define.